What happens when a city builds too many buildings? There are all kinds of buildings that are needed in the city. Office buildings, schools, colleges, stores, banks, hospitals, and high-rise apartments are all examples of buildings that are in a typical city. There are all kinds of buildings that have a purpose for people in the community. What if a city allows buildings to be built that do not serve the needs of the community? When a city builds too many buildings, they are wasting money. I wonder what the electric bills add up to every day. The money that is being wasted can be used for other things like parks, bike trails, parking lots, more local churches, even one more school. The city of White Plains needs to be careful on how they spend money. They need to spend their money in ways that make our city more efficient. Some buildings that already exist aren't even used to the fullest. When there are more buildings, there are more people. When there are more people, they are using more resources. By 2020, I hope they plan our city carefully so it wouldn't be overpopulated. I hope by then they can make it happen. Hi, I'm Brenda. I'm here with Bryce Wilson, architect and planner for Meridian Design Associates. I have 3 questions. So, who actually builds buildings in White Plains, the city or other people?
A landowner is the person who can build a building, but there are a lot of different kinds of landowners. Some parts of the land in White Plains belong to the Metro-North Railroad, which belongs to New York State. Schools belong to the school district, not to the city. Parks and city buildings and city garages belong to the city. The roads belong to the city. Those kind of buildings are built by the government. But most of the buildings you see when you look around have been built by private landowners who decided what they wanted to do on their property and got permission from the city to build that.
How can someone like me affect the kinds of buildings built in White Plains?
You can participate by going to city council meetings, by going down to talk to the planning department like you're going to do tomorrow. You can participate in shaping those laws, and if somebody is asking to do something on a property that you don't agree with, that would involve changing the zoning to allow that, you can go down and talk to the city council and testify and say, look, I don't think that's a good idea. We should have a park there, not a building, or that shouldn't be such a big building, or you have control over that if you want to participate in that process.
What happens if we build buildings that need more services than the city has?
Well, that's one big concern that the city has to consider when someone comes in and says, look, I want to put a giant building here. Do we have enough seats in our school system to handle the children who live in that building? Do we have sewers big enough for them to all be able to take a shower and live in their houses? Do we have enough water to run to them? Are our streets big enough for the traffic that'll be caused by people driving to them? So these are all decisions that, even though the decision's made on a private property, the citizens end up having to spend money in order to allow that greater density to happen. If you have a factory that comes in that has a lot of people driving to work and a lot of trucks coming in, that affects the pollution in the air and the amount of traffic on the streets and whether you can get to work on time or to school on time. So that's one of the reasons that the citizens of the city have a responsibility to think about what's called cumulative impact, how all the little additional cars for this and water for that and sewer for this add up to and affect the resources we all share.
Thank you for coming in.
Well, thank you. It's a great piece of work you're doing. I'm really, really proud to see junior high school kids thinking at this level.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome.